There you have Lancelot Anyanya, who is the chairman of the board of the Nigeria Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, talking about, how they need to ensure compensation or adequate measures taken in the event of an oil spill. Well, you also do know that there's been lots of comments coming through, both from the Senate Committee on that sector and the House of Representatives Committee on that sector. Well, this morning we started out by the opening sequence, that is, talking about the challenge, the reports from Shell, the House of Representatives, some of the members also commenting on their capacity or lack of it concerning that industry, especially as it has to do with the environment. Well, I think we do now have Lancelot Anyanya, who is chairman of the board of NOSDRA, NOSDRA. Morning, thank you for joining us today. Well, we started out by talking about the Shell matter. Some reports saying Shell manipulates series of reports about investigation into oil spills. Shell, in turn, denies that allegation. Well, you now are in that driving seat of NOSDRA. What challenges, what bothers you most about that sector?
Hello?
Can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Okay, well, having been or being in the driver's seat now in NOSDRA, what bothers you most about that sector?
Well, thank you for having us access to this platform. Let us start by saying that the critical issue is not engaging in a blame game. The picture we are seeing on ground in the few days since our inauguration as a board was a sector that is much more critical, much more important than most people know or are aware of. And this issue of oil spill has to do with the very existence of all of us as a people. And all we ask at this point is that everybody come afresh to the table of brotherhood to have a very honest conversation about how we can balance the imperative of what oil means to our economy, to modern economy, to national development, to the advancement of human civilization, to the prosperity that it creates and has indeed created for individuals, for communities, for families, for nations across the globe. Let us balance that with the challenge that it has brought, with the difficulties it has created, with the tragedy it has created for several individuals, for several families, for several communities. And all we ask as a board is that every stakeholder, being a potential victim, because in the business of the environment is borderless. So I think it is playing the ostrich to assume that somehow we can get into certain environments, do damage to the ecology, degrade the environment, and get away and not suffer the consequences. This environment is Africa has given to all of us to manage, to look after. And if we not look after it well, all of us, all of humanity, will suffer to some extent the consequences of that neglect or inadequate attention. So those will be my initial thoughts. But it's a severe problem, it's a major problem. I think it's receiving more attention now than ever before because of the attention that has been put on it by international organizations. I understand that there is an Amnesty report. I want to say that contrary to the assertion in that Amnesty report, that the federal government is not doing enough, that is not the correct picture. the federal government has put together this institution way back 2006, that is NOSDRA. And as you are aware, only recently the president composed the governing board of NOSDRA along with those of other agencies. I think it is a testimonial to the fact that for many years, NOSDRA, which has been under the governing board, this president, President Goodluck Jonathan, has put together a governing board that will help that organization re-engineer itself, reposition itself, to further the frontier of the excellent work that they are already doing under very difficult circumstances. So the federal government is committed. This president is committed because he himself comes from an oil-bearing community. I believe he personally feels the pain and the suffering of the consequences of oil spilling. No one knows this better than him.
If I may come in here, and if you can hear me, you are talking about the Amnesty report. The Amnesty report, which was done in conjunction with CHDR, was talking about how Shell was manipulating reports. The accusation you're talking about to the federal government actually came from the House of Representatives when they're talking about how nothing has been done about the UNEP report, save the creation of High Prep, which seems to have only signposts acknowledging that indeed the land in Ogoniland is polluted. And it was seen that that is where it stopped.
Well, I cannot speak with specific facts as to whether Shell is manipulating reports or not. I am not inclined to comment on that at this point because you would have need to access specific data that we are still in the early stages of our assignment. I do not have that information. I do not know the source of Amnesty's information, but what I do know is that nobody can debate the extent of degradation caused by oil spill for several decades in Ogoniland. And the major operator, indeed perhaps the sole operator in that part of our country, has been Shell. We are aware that the issue of the relationship between Shell and the communities where they operate and have operated is the subject of a number of lawsuits across different jurisdictions. But in terms of the federal government response, we must acknowledge the several initiatives. IPEP, for instance, is an initiative within the Ministry of Petroleum to respond to the particular challenge as thrown up and highlighted by the UNEP report. As human beings, as someone from that environment myself, we would want to see faster action, but we have to acknowledge the traction that we see already. But for people who are in that kind of situation, of course, you expect that expectations can run very high because every day that the issue is not dealt with means several things to several people, and not all of it is positive. So we acknowledge, and that's the point I'm making. IPEP, I believe, has been on ground. I do not have, again, specific information as to the extent of their work. I can speak about what NOSDRA is doing. I do know, for instance, that the UNEP report, NOSDRA contributed significantly to the production of that report, even if the final report does not acknowledge the work that the personnel and the people at NOSDRA did in putting together that report. So what we are looking to do in the coming days is to work together with all stakeholders, NOSDRA, the industry, the community, because at the end of the day, this is the purpose for which NOSDRA was created, to broker the different relationships that are involved and to ensure that environment that has been degraded and damaged by the consequences of oil exploitation is remediated and restored as much as possible to its original state, and those who may be entitled to some form of compensation or the other get their due.
But what would you then say to those who talk about the capacity of NOSDRA? They suggest, including some senators, that NOSDRA can do better than what they are doing now.
I clearly agree with you that NOSDRA can do much better. What I want to say, like we did say in our initial briefing after our board meeting, is that what we have seen on ground is a team of very committed, very dedicated, very patriotic Nigerians who are willing and are able, given the right resources, to do so much more. Sadly, I do not think that they have all the tools they need to work, and that is why we said in our initial briefing that we will engage with all relevant stakeholders at the board. I believe our job as a board is to be advocates for the management and the entire team at NOSDRA, and that's why we use every opportunity to appeal for support for NOSDRA, from the National Assembly, the budgeting process, to communities, to the industry. If we can change our mind, and the truth about it is that even the industry needs to change its posture. There is no need for there to be an adversarial relationship between NOSDRA and anybody for that matter. Because at the end of the day, the mission that NOSDRA has is the mission I believe that everyone has, to create an environment in which we can pursue our quest for oil and all the prosperity and benefits it brings in a manner that does not injure our brothers and our sisters in the various communities that bear this body.
All right, thank you for speaking with us this morning. Lancelot Anyanya is the chairman NOSDRA's board. He joins us from South Africa. We'll return in just a moment to take a look at some comments coming from you, so don't go away.